You are attempting to execute high-level logic, coding bots, designing systems, while running a massive, resource-heavy simulation of the world's chaos in your background processes. This is a fatal system error. Your brain is a central processing unit, CPU, with limited cores and finite RAM. Writing code for a bot requires deep recursion, the ability to hold complex, abstract structures in your working memory simultaneously. When you inject politics into this system, you are injecting malware. Politics is designed to be unresolved, emotional, and contradictory. It creates infinite loops of anxiety and outrage in your neural circuitry. You cannot hold the logic of a Python script and the logic of a geopolitical crisis in your head at the same time. The crisis overrides the script because the biological brain prioritizes threat, war/laws, over abstractions, code. By consuming news, you are voluntarily installing a crypto miner in your skull that mines outrage for media corporations while your own projects lag and crash. You are heating up your processor for zero hash rate. You must understand the difference between read-only and write-access reality. Politics for you is a read-only file. You can read the news, you can get angry, you can tweet, but you cannot change the source code of the law. You have zero permissions. You are a spectator yelling at the screen. Coding bots is write access. When you write if X then Y, reality obeys you. The bot obeys. The market obeys. You have root access to your own digital creations. The sovereign architect ignores read-only files to focus entirely on write access files. Why waste a single cycle of processing power on a file you cannot edit? It is inefficient. It is illogical. It is the behavior of a slave who loves to gossip about the master, rather than a free man building his own house. Every minute you spend thinking about a politician is a minute you are not thinking about your variable definitions. The politician gets rich, your bot throws a syntax error. The specific nature of political syntax is antithetical to code syntax. Code is binary, true or false, 1 or 0, run or fail. It is clean, objective, and brutally honest. Politics is fuzzy logic, lies, half-truths, emotional manipulation, and gray areas. When you consume politics, you train your brain to accept ambiguity and emotional reasoning. When you code, you must reject ambiguity and embrace pure logic. These two operating systems are incompatible. If you try to run them in dual boot mode, you get cognitive dissonance. You start coding with emotion. You start looking for fairness in the compiler. The compiler does not care about your feelings or the election results. It only cares about the syntax. To be a master coder, you must purge the fuzzy logic of the news and become a binary machine. You must become as cold and precise as the interpreter you are commanding. Furthermore, news is high latency data. By the time you hear about a breaking event, the opportunity to exploit it is already gone. The algorithms and the insiders reacted milliseconds after the event occurred. You are consuming stale data that has no utility other than to upset you. The sovereign architect deals in zero latency creation. You are building the tools that make the news, or at least make the money. You are operating on the edge of the present moment, creating the future. The news is a museum of the immediate past. Why look backward when you are building forward? When you cut the news feed, you reduce your input lag. Your brain stops buffering external noise and starts rendering internal vision with perfect frame rates. The outrage buffer overflow. Anger is a heavy process. It consumes massive amounts of glucose and neurotransmitters. When you read a headline that makes you mad, you cause a buffer overflow in your emotional regulation center. This spillover affects your logic centers. You become dumber. Literally, your IQ drops when you are angry. You cannot debug a complex error when your blood is boiling about a tax hike. You need cryogenic focus, a cool, detached, emotionless state to see the patterns in the code. Politics is fire. Code is ice. You cannot sculpt ice while standing in a fire. You must step out of the burning building of society and enter the air-conditioned server room of your mind. Let them burn. You have a server to run. Finally, realize that ignorance is hardware acceleration. By deleting the news apps, unfollowing the pundits, and blocking the keywords, you are physically freeing up RAM. You will feel a sudden lightness. You will find that you can hold more variables in your head. You can visualize the entire architecture of your bot without losing the thread. This is not burying your head in the sand. This is allocating resources to the critical path. You are not ignorant. You are optimized. You know everything you need to know to build the bot. Everything else is bloatware. Uninstall it. Reboot. The second phase of liquidating news noise is the installation of the Stoic firewall. In network security, a firewall monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. Your brain currently has a permissive policy. It lets everything in. The war, the election, the scandal. All these malicious malicious packets pass right through your defenses and execute arbitrary code in your limbic system, causing anxiety and distraction. You must switch to a default deny policy. The rule is simple. Does this information alter my immediate code? If the answer is no, the packet is dropped. Does knowing about the tax proposal change the logic of your trading bot today? No. Does knowing about the riot change the variable definition in your script? No. Then it is noise. Drop the packet. The sovereign architect understands that his circle of control is very small. His code, his health, his finances. His circle of concern is very large. The world, the economy, the planet. The news tricks you into focusing entirely on the circle of concern, where you have zero admin privileges. You are stressing about a server you do not own. Stop it. Focus on the local host. Only worry about the variables you can define. You must identify the illusion of relevance. The news convinces you that you need to know because it affects the world. This is a lie. Macro events rarely affect the micro mechanics of building a product in the moment. If a nuclear war starts, you will know because the internet will go down or the window will break. You do not need a push notification for the apocalypse. Until the window breaks, your job is to code. By obsessively tracking events you cannot influence, you are engaging in cognitive masturbation. It feels like you are doing something, being informed, but you are actually doing nothing. You are a spectator in the Colosseum, watching the gladiators kill each other, thinking your cheering changes the outcome of the fight. It doesn't. You're not a gladiator. You are the architect building a new Colosseum. You're botnet. Somewhere else. Leave the stands. Go back to the blueprint. The emotional hijacking of the news is specifically designed to break the deep work state required for coding. Coding requires a steady, low-frequency beta or theta brainwave state, a trance of pure logic. News induces high-frequency gamma spikes, panic/rage. You cannot switch from rage at the president to debug a recursion error instantly. There is a switching cost. After checking the news, your brain is flooded with cortisol. Cortisol inhibits the prefrontal cortex, the exact part of the brain you need for logic and complex problem solving. Essentially, checking the news makes you physically incapable of good coding for 20 to 30 minutes afterward. If you check the news every hour, you are functionally retarded for the entire working day. You are trying to run a Ferrari on sand. You need the asphalt of boredom and calm. We must also address the false trader fallacy. You might argue, but I'm coding trading bots. I need to know the news. Wrong. You need data, not news. Data is a number. Interest rate is 5%. News is a story. The Fed chair looked worried and people are panicking about a recession. The story is useless noise. The number is actionable code. You can write a script that scrapes the number and adjust the bot. You cannot write a script that scrapes worry. When you consume the narrative around the data, you are introducing bias into your system. A sovereign coder deals only in raw inputs. You scrape the API, not the CNN homepage. You trust the math, not the pundit. The pundit is paid to lie. The math is incapable of lying. The witness trap is another mechanism of the matrix. Society guilts you into believing that you have a moral obligation to witness the suffering of the world. How can you ignore this tragedy? The answer is, because I am building the solution. Staring at a burning building does not put out the fire. Building a better fire suppression drone does. You are not a journalist. You are not a historian. You are an engineer. Your empathy is a finite resource. If you spend it crying over headlines, you have none left to fuel the grueling work of debugging the code that might actually generate the wealth to help people. Ruthless compartmentalization is not sociopathy. It is professional necessity. A surgeon does not watch the news in the operating room. He focuses on the cut. You are the surgeon. The code is the patient. Focus on the cut. Finally, implement the information diet of the predator. A predator does not eat grass. A predator eats high-density meat. Most news is information grass, low nutrient, high volume, requires 4 stomachs to digest, hours of wasted thinking. You need information meat, technical documentation, specific tutorials, API references, market charts. This is dense, actionable, and builds muscle, skill. If you find yourself grazing on the timeline, you have become a sheep. The sheep gets eaten. The predator hunts for the specific answer to a specific problem. Be the predator. Hunt the bug. Hunt the solution. Ignore the grass. The final stage of liquidating news noise is the transition to an asynchronous reality. The world operates on a synchronous clock. The 24-hour news cycle, the stock market bell, the election cycle. The human feels anxiety if he is not synced to this clock. He feels he is falling behind. The sovereign architect disconnects takes his internal clock from the global NTP, Network Time Protocol server. You operate on project time, not world time. Project time is measured in versions, V1.0, V2.0, milestones, and compile cycles. It does not matter if it is Tuesday or Sunday. It does not matter if it is election day or Christmas. What matters is, did the code compile? Is the bot profitable? By decoupling yourself from the synchronous anxiety of the world, you gain the superpower of temporal distortion. You can work for 14 hours straight because you aren't waiting for the evening news or the weekend. You are in a timeless void of creation. You are not behind on the news. The news is irrelevant to your timeline. You are running a different operating system entirely. You must treat your workspace as an air-gapped server. In high-security facilities, the most critical servers are air-gapped, physically disconnected from the internet to prevent hacking. Your mind is the critical server. When you are in the deep work phase of coding, you must simulate an air gap. Pull the Ethernet cable, literally or metaphorically. Turn off the Wi-Fi on your phone. Create a physical barrier between the chaos of the internet and the purity of your IDE, integrated development environment. When you are air-gapped, the news malware cannot reach you. The political virus cannot infect your logic. You are working in a sterile, clean room environment. In this silence, your IQ increases. Your pattern recognition sharpens. You can see the architecture of the bot clearly because there is no static on the line. The only data that exists is the data you brought in with you. This leads to the input/output inversion. The average human has a massive input/output imbalance. They consume 10 gigabytes of data, news, video, text, and produce 1 kilobyte of data, a tweet, a text message. They are data sinks. The sovereign architect flips the ratio. You consume 1 megabyte of highly specific technical data, documentation, and produce 1 gigabyte of value, code, videos, systems. You become a data source. To achieve this, you must stop viewing information as entertainment. Information is a raw material. You don't buy raw materials unless you have a manufacturing order to fill. Why am I reading this? To build the bot. If the answer is to feel informed, close the tab. You are leaking resources. You are filling your warehouse with garbage instead of steel. Empty the warehouse. Only bring in what you can weld. You must also adopt the need-to-know clearance level. You are the director of the intelligence agency of your life. You grant yourself clearance only for information that is mission critical. Does the director need to know about the celebrity scandal? Access denied. Does the director need to know about the protest in a country he doesn't live in? Access denied. Does the director need to know the latest change to the Python API? Access granted. By strictly enforcing these clearance levels, you protect your cognitive bandwidth. You are not being ignorant. You are being secure. You are protecting state secrets, your ideas, from being contaminated by public noise. The public noise is low vibration. Your ideas are high vibration. Do not mix them. Finally, realize that you are building a rival reality. The ultimate rejection of the news is the creation of a world that is more interesting than the news. When your bot starts making money while you sleep, that is more exciting than any election results. When your 540 videos start shifting the culture, that is more relevant than any war. You are not ignoring the world. You are outcompeting it. You are building a system that renders their system obsolete for you. You don't care about their taxes because you have optimized yours. You don't care about their jobs because you employ yourself. You don't care about their politics because you are the king of your own domain. This is the sovereign singularity. You reach a point where your internal velocity is so fast that the external world appears to be standing still. Let it stand still. Let them argue in the mud. You are flying. Go asynchronous. Disconnect from the 24-hour cycle. Live in project time. Air gap the mind. Sever the connection when coding. No packets in, only code out. Invert I/O. Stop consuming. Start emitting. Be a source, not a sink. Enforce clearance. Grant access only to mission-critical data. Deny everything else. Build the rival. Make your life more interesting than the CNN homepage. The news is liquidated. The signal is clean. The bot is live. The reality is yours. AOXY 3 out.